Did you know the Old Testament contains stories so extraordinary that they sound more like fantasy than fact? Today, we're diving into 5 astonishing tales that you may have never heard of, but they are in the Bible. From a talking animal to supernatural fire, these stories defy logic and show the power and mystery of God's hand at work. But here's the kicker. One of these stories involves a chilling hand writing on the wall, and it completely changed history. Curious? Stay tuned until the end to hear it, because it's a moment you'll never forget. If you're as fascinated by the Old Testament as I am, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell. Together, we'll explore the most extraordinary events and uncover the rich, divine truths of these ancient texts. Let's dive in. Story 1. Balaam's talking donkey. Our first story takes us to the wilderness, where a prophet named Balaam is riding his donkey to curse Israel. But something shocking happens. The donkey suddenly veers off the road, crushes Balaam's foot, and even stops completely. Frustrated, Balaam beats the donkey 3 times. And then, this is where it gets wild. The donkey starts talking. "What have I done to you to make you beat me these 3 times?" the donkey asks. Imagine Balaam's shock. But he responds as if talking to an animal is completely normal. Now here's the twist. The donkey could see something Balaam couldn't. A mighty angel standing in the road with a drawn sword, blocking their path. The angel reveals that the donkey saved Balaam's life by stopping him from walking straight into destruction. This bizarre story isn't just about a talking animal. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes God uses the most unexpected means to protect and guide us. How often do we overlook the signs He places in our path? Story 2. The sun standing still. Next, we journey to the battlefield with Joshua and the Israelites, who are fighting a coalition of Amorite kings. As the battle rages, Joshua prays for a miracle, and God answers in a way that defies all logic. The sun and the moon stop moving. Here's how it's described in Joshua 10. The sun stopped in the middle of the sky and delayed going down about a full day. This miraculous pause allowed Israel to claim victory over their enemies. But how could the sun stop? Scholars have debated this for centuries. Was it a supernatural event, a metaphor, or could it align with ancient accounts of celestial phenomena? Some even theorize it was an eclipse or another cosmic occurrence. Regardless, this event highlights the sheer power of God in controlling not just the earth, but the heavens themselves. Imagine witnessing a battle under an unmoving sky, a moment of divine intervention that would have left everyone in awe. Story 3. A dead man comes back to life. Our third story is one of resurrection and divine power. In 2 Kings 13, we read about the prophet Elisha's death and burial. But even in death, Elisha's connection to God remains astonishingly strong. Here's what happened. Some Israelites were burying a man when suddenly a group of Moabite raiders appeared. Panicked, they quickly threw the dead man's body into Elisha's tomb. The moment the man's body touched Elisha's bones, he came back to life and stood on his feet. Think about that. Elisha's mere bones carried enough divine power to spark a resurrection. This incredible story reminds us that God's power isn't limited by life or death. It transcends all boundaries. But here's a curious question. Why was this event recorded? Was it to show Elisha's prophetic legacy, or was it a foreshadowing of Christ's resurrection? What do you think? Story 4. The writing on the wall. Now we move to the Babylonian Empire, where King Belshazzar throws a lavish feast using sacred vessels stolen from the Jerusalem temple. But his blasphemy is interrupted by a chilling sight. A human hand appears out of nowhere and begins writing on the wall. The king turns pale with fear, and none of his wise men can interpret the writing. Enter Daniel, who deciphers the message. Mene, Mene, Tekel, Parsin. It's a prophecy of judgment, declaring the fall of Babylon. That very night, the kingdom is conquered and Belshazzar is killed. The phrase "the writing on the wall" has become synonymous with inevitable doom, but its origins in this biblical story remind us that divine judgment is real and unavoidable when we stray too far from God. Story 5: The Fiery Furnace. Finally, we visit the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who refused to bow down to King Nebuchadnezzar's golden statue. As punishment, they are thrown into a blazing furnace heated 7 times hotter than usual. The heat is so intense that it kills the soldiers who throw them in. But here's the miracle. The 3 men remain unharmed, and a 4th figure appears in the flames, a divine presence described as like a son of the gods. When they're brought out, not even their clothes smell of fire. This incredible event shows us God's power to protect His faithful servants, even in the most hopeless situations. The fiery furnace is more than a miracle. It's a symbol of God's unwavering presence in the trials we face. Story 6: The Ground Swallowing. Korah and his followers. In our final story, we witness a moment of divine judgment so intense it leaves no room for doubt about God's authority. This is the story of Korah, a Levite who led a rebellion against Moses and Aaron. Korah, along with 250 leaders of the Israelite community, challenged Moses' leadership, claiming that he and Aaron had taken too much power for themselves. They demanded to share in the priestly duties, defying the structure God had established. Moses, grieved by their defiance, issued a challenge. He told Korah and his followers to present themselves before God with censers filled with incense. God would decide who was truly chosen. The next day, as the rebellious group stood before the tabernacle, something terrifying happened. The ground beneath Korah and his followers split apart. They, along with their families and belongings, were swallowed alive into the earth, and the ground closed over them. Simultaneously, fire from heaven consumed the 250 men offering incense. This dramatic event served as a warning to the Israelites. Moses declared that their rebellion wasn't against him, but against God Himself. It's a stark reminder of the consequences of pride and the importance of honoring God's established authority. But here's the twist. Despite Korah's rebellion, some of his descendants went on to play a significant role in Israel's history. They became writers of several psalms, demonstrating God's ability to redeem and restore even the most broken legacies. There you have it, 5 extraordinary stories from the Old Testament that showcase God's power, grace, and divine intervention. From a talking donkey to fiery protection, these tales remind us that God works in mysterious and miraculous ways. But what about you? Which story amazed you the most, and why? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who loves biblical stories, and subscribe to our channel for more incredible insights into the Word of God. Together, let's keep uncovering the divine mysteries of the Bible.